6:50 in the morning. Erie, Pennsylvania. The coffee maker hasn't even finished its cycle yet. A woman named Dana sits at her kitchen table in her work scrubs, phone in hand. She opens her banking app. She moves $50 into a second account. Not 60. Not whatever's sitting there after the weekend. 50. She's done this every payday for 14 months straight. Her husband's never noticed. He thinks that account's just where the car insurance comes out of. Here's the part I want you to sit with for a second. Dana takes home $2,200 a month. That's it. That's the number every financial article you've ever skimmed would tell you is too tight to save a dime. And right now, tonight, Dana has 4 months of her own survival sitting quietly in that account on her way to a full year. 4 months, built $50 at a time. There's a rule hidden inside that habit. A small one. Almost embarrassingly small. And by the time this video's over, you're gonna have the whole thing. But I'm not handing it to you yet. Because if I give you the mechanics before you understand why they work, you'll do exactly what most people do with good advice. You'll nod, you'll agree, and you'll never actually start. My name's Thomas, and here's the thing that's been bothering me for a long time. Almost every piece of savings advice you've ever heard was written by someone who had leftovers. Save 20% of your income. Okay? 20% of what exactly? By the time the mortgage, the car insurance, the groceries, and your kid's orthodontist have all had their say, 20% of what's left is a joke wearing a percentage sign. So let's talk about what it actually feels like to live with this. Not poverty, it's something quieter than that. Every dollar already has a job before it even lands in your account. Every month is a landing you have to stick. Maybe you know the 11:52 at night feeling. Sitting at the kitchen table with a school form in your hand, some $60 field trip, some fee nobody warned you about, moving numbers around like furniture in a room that's already full. That's not weakness. I need you to actually hear that. If you've started and stopped 3 times, you didn't fail 3 times. The plan failed you 3 times. So here's where we're going for the next 20-some minutes. We're going to walk through why these plans die, what they're actually costing you without you noticing, and exactly what to do instead, starting right now. Dana didn't get this from a bank or an app. She got it from her father-in-law, a man named Walt. Walt laid brick for 41 years. Foundations, chimneys, one library downtown he still points out every time they drive past it. Dana asked him once how he stood it. 41 years of walls that took months to finish. Didn't it feel endless? Walt looked at her like she'd asked something a little foolish. I never built a wall in my life, he said. I laid the next brick. He didn't think about the wall. His business was one brick, set level, set true, then the one after it. 41 years of that, and behind him, whole buildings still standing. Dana went home that night with her second failed savings plan sitting in her lap like a dead thing. And she asked herself the only question that actually mattered. What's my brick? Here's why. There's an economist, Richard Taylor, who won the Nobel for this. Our brains don't treat money as one pool. We sort it into little mental boxes, and a giant, distant goal gets treated completely differently than a small thing sitting in front of us today. A big number doesn't motivate you. It argues with you. Every month you look up at 20,000 from 300, and the gap does all the talking. Big plans don't die of bad math. They die of the view. So here's the whole idea. You're never going to build a wall. You're going to lay one brick. $50. That's the only unit allowed under this plan. You don't save a year. You lay a brick. Let's actually build this thing. Piece by piece. Move 1. The brick. A brick is $50. And a brick is the only unit your emergency fund is allowed to exist in. Not a year of savings. Not $20,000 sitting out there like some mountain you're supposed to climb before breakfast. Here's what Dana actually did, step by step, so you can do the same thing tonight. She sat down with a notebook. Not a spreadsheet. Not an app. A notebook. Because she didn't trust herself not to fiddle with a spreadsheet for 3 hours and call that progress. She wrote down what it actually cost to survive. Just survive. Rent, electric, groceries, car insurance, gas, the phone bill. Nothing else. No subscriptions, no eating out, no wiggle room. $1,400 a month, a year of that. Just existing, nothing more. $16,800. She divided that by 50. 336. She wrote that number on a sticky note, stuck it inside a kitchen cabinet, behind the mixing bowls. And here's the part that matters most. She never looked at it again. From that morning on, her entire savings life became one single, automated move. Every other Friday, 6:50 in the morning. $50, gone, moved automatically. After that, the machine does the mornings. Dana can be exhausted, cranky, still in yesterday's scrubs after a double shift. The transfer doesn't ask her opinion. It just happens, the way the sun comes up, whether or not you feel like it. Now, I want to be honest with you, because Dana's story isn't a straight line, and neither is yours going to be. Month 6, the transfer didn't go through. Not because she stopped it. Her checking account was $4 short that morning. Some automatic bill had cleared first, and the bank just quietly skipped it. She didn't notice for 11 days. When she finally caught it, her first instinct was to feel like she'd already broken the thing. Like the whole plan was tainted now. It wasn't. She just moved the $50 manually that afternoon, reset the transfer for 2 days later, and kept going. The wall didn't care that it was 11 days late. A brick's still a brick whenever it gets laid. There's also a much quieter kind of hard, one nobody talks about. Somewhere around month 4, Dana opened the account just to look at it. $200. That's all that was in there. $200 after 4 months of doing everything right. She said later, it was almost worse than watching nothing happen at all. Because now she could see exactly how slow this was. And slow, when you can see it clearly, feels a lot like it isn't working. She closed the app, didn't cancel anything, didn't change the number, just closed it, and let the next Friday come. That's the part nobody puts in the highlight reel. The middle of month 4, staring at $200, wondering if this is actually going anywhere. It was. She just couldn't see it yet from inside it. Move 2. The conversion. The payday brick is just the heartbeat. Steady, small. The real growth happens the moment money gets freed up or shows up out of nowhere. Dana had a storage unit she'd been paying for 2 years and hadn't opened in one. $89 a month, just sitting there holding boxes she couldn't even remember the contents of. She canceled it on a Tuesday afternoon on her lunch break. That $89 didn't get absorbed back into the month. It converted straight into bricks, same day, every month, from then on. Then her tax refund landed. $1,140. Money that shows up out of nowhere behaves differently in your head than money you earned hour by hour. Thaler's research has a name for this. Windfall money gets sorted into the fun account before you've even decided anything on purpose. It evaporates twice as fast as a paycheck does. So Dana gave herself one rule for exactly this moment. 24 hours. That's it. Within a day of that refund landing, it became 22 bricks. Counted, moved, gone from temptation's reach before her brain had time to start negotiating with her. A weekend shift covering for a coworker. 2 more bricks. An insurance refund nobody ever expects. 1 brick, 39 cents left over, which she kept just for the fun of it. This is how a $50 habit ends up moving at $400 a month instead of $50. Not because she got better at willpower, because she built a rule that didn't require any. Move 3. The ceiling. This is the strange one. And it's the one that saves the whole thing in month 5, when everything else would have quietly wrecked it. Under this rule, you are never allowed to make a savings decision bigger than $50. Ever. Not even on a good month. Because the same ambition that puts $300 in on a good month is the same ambition that walks away completely on a bad one. The ceiling keeps the whole thing boring. And boring is the point. Dana had a coworker, we'll call her Renee. Same hospital, same years on the job, take-home pay within $30 of Dana's. They talked about money on a lunch break 14 months ago. Both of them decided that same week to start saving for real. Renee did what she'd read online. Picked the impressive number, $500 a month, went at it hard. For 2 months, she hit it. Month 3, her hours got cut. Month 4, catching up meant finding $1,000, and the math just laughed at her. She stopped, quietly, no announcement. She's restarted twice since then. Same plan both times. Same ending. Dana had her own version of that month 3. Somewhere around month 7, sitting at that same kitchen table, she looked at Renee's new car in the parking lot at work and thought, quite plainly, what's the point of $50? She actually opened her banking app that night to cancel the transfer. Her thumb was on the button. What stopped her wasn't motivation. It was Walt's voice, the brick thing, sounding almost annoying in her head at that point, because she'd already heard it 100 times. She closed the app instead, left the transfer running, went to bed. She told me later that night, it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like nothing. Just a Tuesday, where she didn't quit. That's usually what the actual turning points look like. Not dramatic, just a Tuesday you almost gave up on and didn't. If Renee's story stung a little, if you just counted a restart or two of your own somewhere in that story, good. Sit with that for a second. That's not an insult. That's information. And it came free. There's a night from Dana's 11th month I want you to have. Because this is what the middle of the wall actually feels like when it's holding. Her transmission started making a sound. The real kind. $610 to fix. She paid it, picked up her car, drove home. And it wasn't until she was pulling into her own driveway that she noticed what hadn't happened. Nothing. No spiral. No 1152 kitchen table math. 12.5 bricks came off a wall that had been standing for 11 months. And the wall just absorbed it, the way a wall is supposed to. She told her sister it was the most expensive, boring afternoon of her whole year. That's the actual product here. Not the $20,000, way off in the distance. The boring. Month 13. Dana opens the app before bed, out of habit, more than anything. $4,963, not round, not 4,000, not 5. Just sitting there. Exactly what it was. She'd just gotten paid for a double shift that week. $37 extra, sitting and checking, doing nothing. Old Dana, the one from before Walt, before any of this, would have moved it, rounded it up. Felt good about hitting 5,000 a few weeks early. She looked at it for a second, then she closed the app. No transfer, no 5,000, just $4,963, and a woman going to bed. That's the ceiling, actually working, at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday when nobody's watching and nothing's on fire. Here's what that moment actually is, underneath. Renee wasn't lazier than Dana, wasn't weaker. She showed up to the same lunch break with the same paycheck and the same amount of wanting this to work. The difference was the size of the decision she let herself make. And a ceiling isn't a limitation. It's the thing standing between one good mood and the whole plan quietly dying 6 months later. You weren't bad at saving money before this. You were following a plan that was never built to survive an actual life. A year and change into this, Dana opens her monthly statement the way she does now without even thinking about it. Interest earned this month, $56. She actually laughed out loud in her kitchen alone at nobody. $56 she didn't move, didn't earn a shift for, didn't cut anything to get. The wall just did it, quietly, overnight, the way Walt's walls just stood there once he stopped touching them. She texted her sister one line, pretty sure the wall's laying its own bricks now. That's the part almost nobody tells you about finishing something. It doesn't announce itself. It just starts doing a little of the work you used to do alone. Now, maybe you're watching this at 42, and some part of you is thinking, I should have started at 25. It's too late for this to matter for me. Dana didn't get this from money passed down. She got it from a man laying brick with his hands for 41 years. And she didn't actually hear it until she was well into her 30s, sitting in the wreckage of her second failed plan. You don't need to have started decades ago. You need 10 minutes tonight. That's not too late. That's just Tuesday. So here's exactly what to do starting tonight, broken into 3 moves. This week, find your real number, not the comfortable version, the stripped-down honest one: rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, gas, the phone bill. Nothing else. Multiply it by 12. Divide that by 50. Write it down once on a sticky note or a scrap of paper and put it somewhere you won't keep staring at it. A drawer, a cabinet, behind the mixing bowls. That number's job is to exist, not to be watched. This month, set up the automated transfer before you go to bed tonight. $50, moving the day your paycheck lands, no matter what. Willpower runs out by Friday afternoon. A standing transfer never has a bad week. This quarter, build your conversion list. Every subscription you finally cancel, every fee you finally notice, every bit of overtime or refund that shows up out of nowhere. Give it a destination within 24 hours. No exceptions. That's the difference between a $50 habit and a $400 one. And one honest thing before you go build this. If your income genuinely sits below what it costs you to survive, if the math is negative before a single brick even exists, this isn't the move yet. That's a different conversation about income, not about saving. Don't let anyone, including me, tell you a $50 habit fix a hole that's actually bigger than $50. But if the math works, even barely, even uncomfortably, this is where you start. So here's the whole thing, in one sentence. You don't save a year. You lay a brick. Somewhere in Erie tonight, Dana's gonna go to bed without thinking about her wall at all. That's not neglect. That's what it looks like when something finally stops needing your attention to keep working. And somewhere else, someone's sitting down tonight to try a $500 plan for the 3rd time. 1 lunch break. 2 women. 1 rule between them. If you actually sat down and found your real number tonight, the honest one, not the fantasy one, I genuinely want to know what it was. Not the plan, just the number. Tell me in the comments. And if this was useful, sticking around for the next one helps more than you'd think. The best morning to lay your first brick is the one you wake up to next.